All right, so today we're really diving deep into someone I bet you've heard of, right? Bill Gates.
Oh, yeah. Bill Gates. Everyone's heard of Bill Gates.
Exactly. And I'm sure most people are thinking Microsoft.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yeah, the Microsoft guy.
Right. Well, get ready because on this deep dive, we're going to go way beyond the computers and the software and all of that.
Right.
I mean, we're using this bio that he provided. And let me tell you, there's a whole lot more to Bill Gates than meets the eye.
It's funny, isn't it? You can be so well known, but there are still surprises to uncover.
Totally. So to kick things off, how about those Microsoft days, huh? We're going to at least touch upon that. I mean, founding a tech giant when you're barely old enough to rent a car, that's got to be like, what, early 20s? That's unheard of.
It really is remarkable when you think about it. And the impact, right? I mean, Microsoft didn't just change the game. They pretty much invented the game we're all playing now.
And for those of us who maybe weren't huddled over lines of code back then, can you give us a sense of just how revolutionary his work was back in the, what, the 70s and 80s?
Yeah, so imagine this. Personal computing back then. It was like, well, think about your field before the internet, before smartphones. It was a totally different world. Gates and Microsoft, they weren't just along for the ride. They were the ones steering the ship.
Okay, so we've established Microsoft, huge GE deal.
Yeah.
But then he goes and does something totally unexpected. Co-founds the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Like out of nowhere, did anyone see that coming?
I don't think so. It's not every day a tech giant pivots to, well, saving the world.
Right. It's not your typical career move.
Yeah.
So for those of us who may not be experts on the Gates Foundation, what's the quick rundown on what they actually do?
Well, picture a world without polio. That's one thing the Gates Foundation is working incredibly hard to achieve.
Wow.
And we're not just talking about writing checks here, though they do a lot of that too. They're deeply involved in vaccination campaigns, building healthcare systems in developing countries, even tackling those really complex social barriers that prevent people from getting the help they need.
It's incredible how much impact they've had.
It really is. Take something like malaria. It's a huge problem globally. Now, they could have just said, okay, let's fund some mosquito nets. But that's not how Gates operates. He dug deep into the research, figuring out what it would actually take to wipe out malaria for good. And then he put resources towards developing new treatments and prevention methods.
So it's more than just throwing money at a problem. It's about finding solutions that last.
Absolutely. And, it's worth mentioning, this bio mainly focuses on Gates's professional life. It doesn't get too into his personal life, which has definitely been in the news over the years.
Yeah, that's true. It's a good reminder that there's a whole other dimension to these public figures. But for our purposes, let's stick with what we've got. This pretty extraordinary career path. So we've got Microsoft, this tech powerhouse, and then this huge philanthropic effort with the foundation. And what I find fascinating is that they're both about tackling these massive, almost overwhelming problems.
It's like he just can't resist a challenge, can he? Whether it's computers that nobody understands or diseases that have been around for centuries, he just sees a problem and says, all right, let's fix it.
It's funny you should put it that way because I was thinking the same thing. It's not just about the what, it's about the how, like what's the method here?
Right. Well, innovation is definitely key for Gates, but you can't forget about the long game. He's always thinking years, decades even down the line. He's not afraid to play the long game. And a big part of that, partnerships.
Partnerships. I never thought about that.
Oh, yeah, it's a big one. Think about it. To really make a dent in a global issue like, say, HIV/AIDS, you need more than just money.
I need people on the ground who know what they're doing.
Exactly. So the Gates Foundation, they partner up with governments, with local organizations, even with other NGOs, all to make sure their efforts actually reach the people who need them the most. And let's not forget, even back in those early Microsoft days, he wasn't building computers all by himself in a garage somewhere.
Yeah, he was striking deals left and right, getting MS-DOS on every computer he could.
Exactly. He was already thinking about scale, about reaching as many people as possible. And that same principle drives his philanthropic work today. It's about collaboration, bringing together the best minds, the most effective organizations.
It's kind of amazing when you lay it out like that, how consistent he's been throughout his career.
It really is.
And speaking of consistency, we got to talk about breakthrough energy. It's like he conquered the tech world, made a dent in global health, and then said, okay, what's next? Oh yeah, climate change. Let's tackle that too.
Well, and let's talk about the timing for a second. Gates starts Breakthrough Energy back in 2015.
When climate change wasn't as front page as it is today.
Exactly. It's almost as if He had this foresight, this ability to see around corners. I mean, today it's clear that sustainable energy is going to be absolutely crucial to our future. But he was talking about it years ago, putting his money where his mouth is, investing in cutting-edge technologies, things like fusion energy or carbon capture. We're not talking about small tweaks here. These are potential game changers, and he knew it back then.
So it's not just about writing a check for solar panels. It's about investing in the future of energy itself.
Right, and you see the same pattern again. He's not just throwing money at the problem. Breakthrough energy is all about bringing together entrepreneurs, investors, policymakers, creating a whole ecosystem to support these climate solutions.
So that's big picture thinking again.
Exactly. He sees those connections, the need for systemic change, which makes you wonder, how can we, even in our own lives, learn to think that way?
It's like, how do you train yourself to spot those problems that are worth solving? It really makes you think, doesn't it? Because it's like, how do you even begin to approach problems on that scale?
It can feel pretty daunting, right? Like, most of us, we don't have billions of dollars lying around to throw at global issues.
Right. I mean, solving climate change is probably not going to happen over a weekend project, you know?
Exactly. But here's the thing. It's not really about the resources, not entirely anyway. It's more about the mindset.
Mindset.
Yeah, that willingness to think big, to look for those really impactful solutions, even if they seem impossible at first.
Okay, so like, how do we actually do that? Because it's easy to say, think big, but then real life kind of gets in the way.
Well, it starts with identifying what you're truly passionate about. Right. What gets you fired up, what keeps you up at night. And then it's about figuring out how your own skills and experience, even in your own little corner of the world, can contribute to a solution.
So it's about finding those Bill Gates problems in our own lives.
I love that. Yeah, those issues that really resonate with you. And another big takeaway from Gates' journey, one that we could all use a little more of, adaptability.
Like being willing to change course.
Exactly. I mean, this is someone who started out in software and then ended up tackling things like malaria and clean energy. That takes a willingness to learn new things, to surround yourself with experts, and to not be afraid to say, okay, I don't have all the answers.
It's about not being afraid to jump into something new.
Exactly. And I think there's also a really important lesson here about using success for something bigger than yourself. It's easy to achieve a certain level of success and just kind of rest on your laurels.
Yeah, just kick back and enjoy it, right?
Right. But Gates shows us that it's not just about what you gain, but what you do with it. It's that whole idea, leveraging your success to lift others up, to make a lasting impact.
So how do we apply that, in a practical sense?
Yeah.
Because not all of us are going to be tech billionaires.
Well, it doesn't have to be about billions of dollars, right? It's about looking for those opportunities, big or small, to give back to your community, to use your voice, to advocate for something you believe in, to mentor someone who's just starting out. It all adds up.
It's about paying it forward in whatever way you can.
Exactly. And this might seem like a small thing, but I think it's worth noting. Gates really emphasizes the importance of interdisciplinary thinking.
Like not getting stuck in your own lane.
Exactly. Look at the problems he's tackling. Global health, climate change, poverty. These aren't just tech problems or economic problems. They're interconnected, complex issues that require solutions from all angles.
You can't solve climate change just by writing code, right?
Exactly. You need engineers, sure, but you also need policymakers, economists, scientists, community organizers. The list goes on. It's about breaking down those silos, bringing together people with different perspectives, different areas of expertise. And I think that's something we could all benefit from, no matter what field we're in.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of Bill Gates, the tech innovator, the philanthropist, the climate champion, it seems like the biggest takeaway might not be about lines of code or even billions of dollars.
It's about using whatever you've got, however big or small, to make a difference.
And that wraps up this deep dive into the truly remarkable journey of Bill Gates. From revolutionizing the tech world to taking on some of humanity's biggest challenges, he's certainly given us a lot to think about.
He has.
As always, thanks for joining us for another deep dive. We hope you'll keep questioning, keep exploring, and keep diving deep with us. Until next time.